Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Justice League of America, issue 245. Now, as you know, during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths, there were some tie-in comics that were meant to explain what happened to the characters during the events of some of the issues of Crisis on Infinite Earths, like Blue Devil, Wonder Woman, Green Lanterns, also Princess Amethyst of Gemworld, one of which is the story is meant to feature what happened to Steel after disappearing in one of the issues. And it starts off how Steel is wandering around in a barren post-apocalyptic world. And we see how he falls to the ground, sees to his shock and horror, giant mutant bugs are trying to attack him. And of course they set smiling voices say, where did he come from? When did he arrive? And how did he get here? And who sent him? I suppose he. And they decide to send out the killer bots. And of course we see how Steel says, come on, back under your rock. I'm beat. And so basically gets a giant boulder and says, back under your rock. And we kind of see how a beautiful young woman manages to rescue Steel and reports back to her father that he's taken Steel back to HQ. And of course sees that the killer bot has blasted things away, and the young woman activates her cannons and fires at the killer bot. We're also shown back at the Justice League of America, where they're cleaning up the mess from last battle. And of course, we see Vibe letting Martian Manhunter know that Steel's grandfather, Commander Steel, wants to see him. And of course is in bad shape, saying, where's my grandson? Where's Hank? What is the condition of our guest? And they point out, that he's still trying to recuperate, and you can kind of tell Commander Steel feels bad for what happened after him and Infinity Inc. try to take them out. And of course, we kind of see back at the Justice League, Steel waking up in the young woman's room, who is known as Orlandra. And of course, she learns that he's part of the Justice League and goes to get her father. And of course, we see how Steel shows up saying, you can start by telling me who you are and where I am. And he points out about what happened during the last encounter, and even how during the events of the crisis, he ended up falling into another world, which turns out he went forward back in time. And we see how an army of killer bots show up. We see Steel getting ready for action and managing to help Orlandra and her father and destroying them quickly. And turns out that this old man, what is known as the Lord of Time, and did appear in Justice League of America issue 11 back in the 1960s, and points out that he no longer wanted to be a villain and wanted to sort of start a family, even finding more of a kinship with Orlandra. And of course, his sons rebelled as they got jealous and envious and took over the timeline. And they need help set things right. We see how the six sons are planning on what to do with the Lord of Time. We see how Steel manages to sort of break through their defenses and eventually pummels through the robots and goes in guns blazing. We see them saying, Killerbot, defend us. Don't you see? It's hopeless. We are lost. Lost! And of course, we see how Steel gets Olandra and the father to go into the cube, and we see how the timeline comes undone, and him pointing out that the suns no longer exist in that. We see how Steel gets the wrong idea what happened to Olandra, but turns out, after talking with his past self, only created the daughter. And of course, decides to stay for a little while to get to know her a bit more better. And this is the story. So, issue 245 of Justice League America is an okay issue. Again, it's one of those crisis tie-in comics that's going to have a quick story, or something to explain what happened during or before the events of certain stories. So I think it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.